Our top stories on 7. Panic at a Californian food festival as a gunman opens fire, killing 3 people and wounding more. An investigation into how Queensland swimmer Shayna Jack came into contact with a banned substance. Queensland train services fully restored 3 years after a major rail fail. And Nationals MP Barnaby Joyce cries poor, saying he's struggling to support 2 families.
This is 7 News Queensland.
A gunman has targeted crowds at a food festival in California, killing 3 people and wounding more than 15. Terrifying video shows adults and children running for their lives as gunshots were fired. A number of people are in custody after crashing an allegedly stolen vehicle into several other cars at Petrie. It's understood the crash occurred around 2:50 this afternoon and is blocking a number of lanes on Gympie Road near the intersection with Dayborough Road. It's not yet clear whether anyone has been injured. Police have found a body at Slacks Creek during their search for a missing 44-year-old woman, Simone Roth. The woman was last seen at Springwood on July 14 and hadn't been in contact with friends or family since. Detectives say she has no obvious injuries and a post-mortem will be carried out to determine how she died. A man accused of being the middleman in a plot to kill a Gold Coast woman's ex-husband in a bitter divorce battle has pleaded not guilty. Stephen Gordon is accused of hiring a hitman to murder Malcolm Stewart. Vivian von Drainen reports from the Supreme Court.
Stephen Gordon is on trial accused of trying to procure 2 men to kill the ex-husband of one of his friends in 2010. One of those men was allegedly Jason Robertson. He was the second witness on the stand today. The 46-year-old testified that Gordon told him it was for a female friend of his that was going through a messy divorce. His evidence was that he was given a man named Malcolm's passport photo and address. Malcolm Stewart, the alleged victim, he also gave evidence today confirming to the court that he and his ex-wife had about $3 million worth of assets. The defence picked apart the evidence of Jason Robertson, suggesting he would serve less time for testifying against Stephen Gordon.
Barnaby Joyce has moved to hose down howls of criticism after claiming he's doing it tough on a backbencher's salary. The former Deputy Prime Minister has joined MPs demanding the government increase the New Start allowance for Australia's unemployed. Let's check on today's weather now, and Tony, skies are clearing nicely this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joel. Yes, the morning cloud has cleared up and the extra sunshine has helped push our temperatures up above average today. Checking the numbers, the warmest spots overnight included Brisbane, Redcliffe and the Gold Coast on 13 degrees, while inland spots still dropped into single figures. Today, tops around 2 or 3 degrees above average, and as it stands, it'll be the warmest July on record for some parts of the southeast. 25 the top for Ipswich and Beaudesert, 24s for Brisbane and Archerfield. Looking ahead, here's the temperature outlook for the next 3 months, and most of the nation is very likely to remain above average up until October. The exception is the Queensland's tropical coast. Rain-wise, much of Queensland, especially southern spots, are expected to be below average over that same 3-month period, as you can see in these orange shades here. Joel, I'll be back soon with tomorrow's forecast.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Tony. The investigation into the murders of an Australian tourist and his girlfriend. Are police in Canada zeroing in on the wanted teenage fugitives? A second crane accident in as many days leaves 2 more people in hospital. And the little boy's amazing survival story after a fishing trip with Dad and his mate becomes a rescue mission.
Stressed, anxious and under attack. Is teaching the toughest job in Queensland?
These documents show the millions of dollars they're getting in compensation.
Spat on, punched, abused by students and parents. What's really going on in our classrooms? An exclusive report on 7 News tonight.
A 52-year-old man is in intensive care after being stabbed multiple times during a street dispute with 2 men in Rockhampton last night. Police were called around 7 p.m. Detectives are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Police are still on the hunt for a prisoner who escaped from Rockhampton Hospital on Saturday night. The 26-year-old was wearing a bandage around his left foot. He's facing charges relating to drug and firearm offences and now escaping custody. A Sydney family has had a lucky escape from an arson attack at North Bondi in Sydney. The family of 5, including a young girl and twin boys, ran for their lives after someone set fire to a hedge that spread to their home early today. Detectives say the offender, shown here on surveillance video, also torched some household goods left out for a council collection a few streets away. Police are appealing for more CCTV before the firebug strikes again. How will Beijing respond to escalating violence in Hong Kong as riot police clash with protesters in the streets? A devastated father charged after twin babies die in a hot car. And the Duchess of Sussex turns guest editor of Vogue.
Toxic foods. The Aussie researcher uncovering common ingredients linked to a host of diseases. What's good for you and what's not on Sunrise tomorrow.
The fishing industry in North Queensland is forecasting a shortage of mud crabs and price increases if proposed changes to regulations go ahead. The Fisheries Department wants to limit the possession of mud crabs reduced from 10 to 7 and a cap on catches to 720 tonnes per year. The mother of 1-year-old twins who died after they were left for 8 hours inside their father's hot car has pleaded for leniency for her husband. 39-year-old New Yorker Juan Rodriguez says he thought he'd dropped the boy and girl at daycare, but instead left them in the back seat as he went to work. Rodriguez is facing 2 counts each of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide and has been released on bail. Freak storms and flash flooding in Italy have claimed at least 3 lives. One woman, aged in her 20s, died when a tornado overturned her car near Rome. She'd been trying to seek refuge at a petrol station. Another woman died after being struck by lightning during an ultra-marathon, and an elderly man died in his vehicle after flash flooding. The Duchess of Sussex has turned magazine editor for an issue of British Vogue. The edition is titled Forces for Change and marks the first time a guest has edited the famed magazine's September issue. Meghan focuses on 15 trailblazing women, with the issue to hit newsstands on the 2nd of August. If you're on the Gold Coast, The Chase is up next. Then join Rod Young and Amanda Abate for your local 7 Gold Coast news at 5:30. For the rest of Queensland, it's a growing problem in our schools. Violence against teenagers by students and parents. A new data suggests it's getting worse. Their light plane crash landed in remote South Australia. How a husband and wife survived the ordeal. And the world Fortnite champion is crowned, the teenager winning a huge pay packet.
7 News is giving you and your family the chance to win the ultimate experience at this year's Ekka.
Enjoy food, drinks and exclusive seating to watch all the action from the Ekka Nights show.
Plus VIP seating for the Natural Fibres Fashion Parade, $400 spending money, show bags and much more.
Be watching 7 News tonight for the code word to enter.
This is 7 News Queensland.
Thanks for joining us. Making news this Monday. A mass shooter has targeted a food festival in California, firing indiscriminately into the crowd. The gunman was killed, but before he died, he took the lives of at least 3 people and wounded more than 15. Queensland swimmer Shayna Jack has maintained her innocence following positive test results of a banned substance. Swimming Australia officials have defended themselves against accusations they tried to cover it up. And Queensland rail services have been fully restored 3 years after a major rail fail. Disturbing new data has revealed our school teachers are subject to violent abuse at the hands of Queensland students each day, and the problem is only getting worse. Isabel Mullen reports.
Coming up tonight at 6, I'll have a full breakdown of the figures, including the types of assaults our teachers are facing.
2 men are fighting for life after being crushed when a crane rolled in far north Queensland. It's the second major workplace incident involving a crane in as many days after a mill worker died south of Cairns. Georgia Terry has more.
Both men were airlifted in a critical condition following this morning's incident. They were completing roadside works 10 minutes outside of the small town of Mariba when the crane they were in rolled. Workplace health and safety and union representatives were on scene today investigating what occurred. Another man suffered burns in yesterday's incident. He remains in a stable condition in Cairns Hospital.
Let's check the finance now with James Tao at ComSec. James, how did those local shares kick off the new week?
Afternoon, Joel. It's a pretty solid start to the Aussie market. We've seen the ASX 200 today climbing around 0.5%, around 30 odd points to 6,825. We're now roughly 20 odd points away from all-time highs that we hit in November of 2007, just before the GFC. So gains were generally across the board. We had some of the sectors really leading the gains, the financials, tech stocks and telcos amongst the biggest improvers. Afterpay Touch up around 4% today. The Aussie dollar, however, not doing so well. It's hovering around 69.1 US cents.
James, thank you. What's making news in sport next with Shane Webke? Also, the American father and son cloning trees to save the planet. And after a successful Broadway debut, the Australian dates are set for Moulin Rouge, the musical.
Tonight on 7 News, day one of hundreds of new train services in the southeast. The impact on your line. Police zero in on fugitives wanted over the deaths of an Australian tourist and his girlfriend in Canada. A new health warning over backyard eggs. And win the ultimate Ekka family experience. 7 News at 6.
America's giant old-growth redwood trees are regarded as the biggest and strongest trees in the world. It's that strength that scientists are now harnessing through cloning to slow down climate change. Let's have a quick look at today's sport now. Shane.
Thank you, Joel. Hello, everyone. The Broncos have decided against rolling the dice with international Tavita Pangai Jr. With Matt Gillett and Thomas Flegler expected to return, Brisbane don't want to risk losing their human wrecking ball for 2 games. The Broncos are in the top 8 for the first time since March. Guaranteed of September footy for the first time in a decade, the Lions aren't phased if they get a Gabba final or not, insisting they can win anywhere. Soaking up the delights of home with a mid-winter recovery session, Brisbane are on a 6-match winning streak. But they find themselves in 3rd place by 0.3%. That could be the difference of securing a home final. Good on the girls. So I'll be back at 6 with plenty more, Joel.
Catch you then, Webby.
Will
Thanks,
do.
mate. The Broadway smash hit Moulin Rouge musical is coming to Australia. But, as Tom Chadwick explains, the lavish production based on Baz Luhrmann's film will only hit the stage in one capital city. Tony's back with the latest weather outlook. Also, a graduation ceremony like no other with some cute little water birds. And the famous Brady Bunch is back. We'll tell you why.
Good afternoon, you're watching 7 News. Checking the weather now, it's been a warm start to the working week in the southeast. So we move to the satellite, we can see why. That warm air is trapped ahead of this cold front and cloud band down south, so warm conditions right across southern parts of Queensland. Some patchy rain with that cloud over southern parts of New South Wales and earlier into northern parts of Victoria, but only light falls there, and cool air is pushing in behind from the southern ocean up into the Great Australian Bight. Tomorrow, those cold fronts linked in with that cloud band will weaken and push out into the Tasman Sea, but we'll also see a surge of winds and showers moving along the New South Wales coast. They're set to reach southeast Queensland on Wednesday, but in the meantime, another warm day with mostly light winds for the southern Queensland coast. That's not the case in Hobart, though. A cloudy top of 10 degrees. Not too bad in Perth and Adelaide, though, as mostly sunny 22 in the West Australian capital, and a couple of passing showers, but a cooler top of 17 degrees in Sydney. That's compared to today. To northern Queensland, plenty of cloud piling up along the coast, but any showers will be very, very isolated at best. So we have dry and partly cloudy icons here on the way for Cairns, Townsville and Mackay. In the south, the usual patchy frost in the far south, then a dry day to follow. Again, a little bit of cloud along those coastal areas. Stanthorpe 1 up to 19, Roma 1 to 24, and a top of 26 in Emerald. Now back to the southeast, a foggy start inland. We could even see some of it pushing into western suburbs of Brisbane. Then plenty of sunny breaks through the day before a late wind surge brings an evening shower towards the Gold Coast. A top of 23 there, 12 to 24 in Brisbane. Now showers picking up later this week. Joel, all the details at 6.
Thank you, Tony. OK, let's check in on what's coming up in the news at 6 now. And Sharon, a major investigation into what's going on in our schools.
Yes, Joel, we have the documents revealing the millions of dollars the state government is paying to teachers in compensation. That's for being spat on, punched and abused by students and even parents. It's a revealing look, Joel, inside the classroom.
And is there a shake-up of boxing coming in Queensland?
Yeah, Joel, not just boxing but all combat sports. Tonight we'll have exclusive details of a government review, what it recommends and what it would cost the thousands of people who enjoy the sport if it is implemented.
I'm interested in this. I got some dropped off by my neighbours this morning. Is there an alert over backyard eggs?
There are, indeed, there is an alert. Yes, these chickens in the backyard, they're very, very popular these days. Tonight we look at why a university has launched a study investigating links between these homegrown eggs and deadly salmonella outbreaks. What steps you need to take to ensure the food you eat is safe. And Joel, I suggest you watch that story if you got those eggs this morning.
I shall do just that. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Well, a group of proud penguins have graduated from fish school in the US. The young birds marched from their final day of classes with hundreds of people cheering them on at the San Francisco Zoo. They have learned to successfully eat a whole fish, swim and socialise with their keepers. The 2 males and 3 females will now live permanently in the zoo's Penguin Island. Now let's check in on social media. There's no place like home for the Brady Bunch. 45 years since the show wrapped, the actors who played the original 6 kids are back together for a very Brady renovation. And lastly, to our own backyard, and this video proves there's no better place to get up close and personal with the ocean's giants than the Gold Coast. Lucky passengers on board Big Blue charters witnessed this amazing show put on by a whale just off the coast, while those south of the border at Port Macquarie got this encounter with none other than the most famous white whale, Migaloo. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Well, that's Queensland's 4 p.m. news for this afternoon. Stay with us now for The Chase, then 7 News at 6. I'm Joel Dry. I'll see you later in the week.
SevenNews.com.au. Happening now.